Welcome to Tech Ascent, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Clingain. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier business development partner within tech. And today we have a very exciting guest. We're joined by Jess Loren, the founder and CEO of Global Objects. Jess, welcome to the show. Thank you for making the time. Would you mind introducing yourself for the audience and telling us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. Thanks, Oliver. My name is Jess Loren, CEO of Global Objects, serial entrepreneur. I'm also a member of the Television Academy, as well as the Producers Guild and Visual Effects Society. I'm also on the board of the Academy. Fun stuff. And a mom of three. I'm a mom of three and a wife, all those things.
Awesome. Nice little background. And being the founder and CEO of Global Objects, what made you want to get into this space? And would you mind telling us a little bit about what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. I mean, kind of working in television, we saw what was happening in the digitization space of television. So if you've seen shows like The Mandalorian, a lot of those worlds are digital. And we have a very strong team in visual effects here. And kind of with the advent of what was happening in virtual production, as well as what you're seeing now with AI, we decided to kind of pivot our studio. So we have a studio here in North Hollywood. So Hollywood is, as you know, many fires going on, but so we have a studio here, and in any sense of what an entrepreneur looks at is you look at trends and you look at what's next, right? So what we thought was really next was virtual production at the time, a couple of years back, and we decided to create Global Objects with a pure focus of working on digital worlds and digitizing the world through objects and environments. So we are creating that digitization process for the world. So we go out, we have an entire capture team. We have LiDAR scanners, we do blue laser, we have photogrammetry, photometrics, and we have an entire scanning kind of set on our studio where we bring in props and elements and create the 3D versions of everything. And I think some other people call them digital twins, but we create those for mostly media and entertainment right now, but we're definitely expanding. We had a request to scan a human heart recently for training with doctors. So in June of this last year, we basically figured out a true one-to-one photoreal asset. So, say this mouse, we can show you the exact copy where you couldn't even tell that it was a digital version.
No, super unique. And it sounds like a great trend. You referenced the Mandalorian there, just how a lot of kind of media and entertainment is going down that route of kind of the digitization of real world objects.
Yeah, I
So,
think one of the really big shows right now is Fallout on Amazon. Has
mm,
a ton of virtual production. Anytime they're in the underground world, that's mostly virtual production. The whole cornfield, that's all virtual production. So I think it's a lot of people don't even realize now that they're watching virtual production because it's
mhm.
gotten so good. And it's to the testament of the visual effects industry, really, and so many artists that have taken on the modalities of virtual production. So,
Mm. It's amazing to see. Are you allowed to share any of the bigger projects you guys have worked on?
so right now we're working on one with Disney. For a new show on Hulu. I can't tell you which show, but we went all around the country of England. So we scanned in 7 different locations, and that was a lot of fun. So our team does get to go to a lot of interesting places and capture data, right?
Mm,
And this wasn't part of one of the locations for that particular show, but we actually were able to capture Abbey Road. So the
mm.
famous poster from the Beatles where they're all walking across the road, we actually went out there and captured that. So, but I think, we're really excited about creating worlds in the splat version, so radiance fields, and using that technology now to, they're a little bit lighter weight than what you might find in Unreal Engine and a gaming platform. So we're looking a lot to the future of splats. And we're also going to be launching our library this year. So we've been capturing all around the world for the past year and a half, and we're going to finally release kind of our worlds to the public so that if you're, working on a film or whatever, maybe you can lease our worlds for your production, throw it up on a wall or a green screen and, and get going. So
Mm, super unique. And it sounds like there's been a massive shift kind of in this space, just in terms of advancements with the 3D, the AI. Do you have any kind of predictions on where this is going? Are you guys jumping ahead of any trends at the moment?
Oh gosh, you want me to predict AI? I think I just recently went to CES and LG had a booth where you're completely immersed in kind of what is set up as your family room or your living room. And it was funny because that's kind of a few years ago what I thought the future to be is like, I want to sit in my family room. I want to press a button and be anywhere in the world, right? And we've seen that with, a lot of people have AVPs, Apple Vision Pros. I have one. You can immerse yourself and it's a really cool experience. But I think, a lot of people don't want to wear technology on their face, clunky, and I think we're going to get there with glasses. But I think as far as a cinematic experience, the future is entertainment that's immersive. So you do want to sit in your home and feel like you're in Egypt or feel like you're sitting and watching the show The Mandalorian or Fallout, etc. So I think the future is more immersive entertainment in our homes. In addition, I think, as far as AI is concerned, I mean, we're betting very heavy on the fact that AI will need 3D data sets. So again, going back to the mouse, we are scanning that mouse so that AI understands this was a mouse. It did exist in the real world. And I think also, 3D in general is a lot of artists are either creating something based on their artistry, right? Their mind, or they're looking at photo images and then their interpretation, right? What my team is doing is we're saying, no, we scanned it in the real world. It did exist. And here's the exact copy of it, right? So I think our approach is a bit different where there's less artistry per se in the aspect of new creation, so net new, whereas we're saying, no, the Starbucks cup
Mm-hmm.
existed in the real world. We scanned the Starbucks cup. It was 7 inches tall, circumference, etc. So we want to verify saying, okay, global objects said this scanned and this existed in the real world, and this is how it's going to appear in a digital world. So
Mm.
that's
Awesome.
also one of our differentiators.
Yeah, no, awesome. And it sounds like you guys provide a lot of value, especially in kind of that media and entertainment space you guys primarily operate in. How do you go about showcasing that value and kind of being a one of your differentiators as you shared? How do you go about kind of showcasing the value you guys provide?
Yeah, so I think as far as like marketing or advertising, I think LinkedIn for me personally has been a huge asset to our company and being the face of our company as well. And then also just providing top-notch work, right? So, but LinkedIn overall for us has been a godsend, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. And I really personally believe in being a brand for my company and being the face of the company as a female founder in tech, not too many of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, just LinkedIn has been a great asset for promoting. We create little videos, we show some of our work. In media and entertainment, unfortunately, it takes a lot of time to be able to talk about your work. So you'll do a project and you have to wait a year and a half or 2 years to when the project comes out to finally be able to talk about it. So in the tech space, tech changes so much in that 2 years time. So there is a bit of a lag on the PR side of all of that. But yeah, I'd just say, specifically to if other people are watching this for their company and they're trying to promote themselves, even the littlest mundane things can turn into really good messaging sometimes. So I have I think in our country we're going through a lot of change right now and specifically about like DEI initiatives, right? So I have a photo with my daughter and I and just saying, I'm a female founder. I've always bet on myself. So no matter program, positive or negative, just bet on yourself. So I take little moments like that to promote myself as well as my company.
Awesome. Yeah. And we can dive into that a little bit. Is being a founder in tech and being a female founder in tech, I'm sure that presents its own challenges in a unique way. Being kind of building a company to kind of the point where it is today, global objects, you guys are doing great things. What are some of the challenges you guys have faced along the way to get to the point of where you are today?
Yeah, I think with any founder, no matter what your race, creed, whatever it is, raising money is always a challenge, right? So you have to have the story of why you want the money and what you're planning to do. And we're very lucky, and we were introduced to our investor, and he believed in I sold him on, I told him I want to be a digital land baroness, right? So he understands property. And I said, I want to own digital property for the future of technology. So he was able to understand that aspect of what we're doing. So I think, having a really good story, being passionate about what you're doing. And as far as like being a female founder, I think, I've just always strive to move forward, progress. I think when I was in my 20s, it was a bit harder to get investment as a female founder, and the numbers will show that to you. I think it's somewhere around 2% of female founders are invested in, which is quite disgusting, to be honest. 2% of venture capital only invests in female founders, but I'm hopeful that that will get better. But honestly, again, just betting on myself and doing the best I can, and applying to all the startup programs. I think, what people might not know is, companies like Microsoft, NVIDIA, et cetera, have these startup programs that you can apply and get discounts to, and get a lot of help and resources. So I think those are great outlets to look into if you're in the tech side.
Mm-hmm. And you shared something there that I think is a big lesson across business in general is when you were speaking to your investor who invested, he was on the real estate side. You kind of tied it back to you want to own digital real estate essentially for the future. I think a big thing that when people go out looking for investments, they don't know how to speak to their audience correctly. What kind of drove you to kind of make that comparison and show him the value because he knew the value of it. You just had to tie it back to what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have people resonate with things, right? They have to, in their mind, tie it to something that they completely understand. So, say you're starting a popcorn company and you're trying to pitch someone who does manufacturing or something,
Mm-hmm.
So, I think tying it back to them is like use the numbers of how many popcorns you can manufacture, numbers that they would understand. So, but yeah, just you have to resonate with people. Everyone eats, sleeps, and goes poop every day, right? If you can tie back to like silly little things that people can come to understand, then it'll work for you to sell in your idea.
Yeah, no, that's massive. And that's amazing too. And you mentioned earlier you're a mom of three, you're on a few different boards, you're building a massive company. What do you think is the biggest strategies you have in place, or maybe not even strategies, you just do them naturally, kind of managing all of that in the day to day as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, you honestly just have to find what works for you. So we use the Google Suite, and I think Google got me when I was in college. So I think there's people who are in the world of Microsoft, people who are in the world of Google, and I don't know what the kids, I don't know your age, Oliver. I don't know what you guys are using now, but I think I use a lot of AI, and we can talk about that quickly. But so I think you have to find what works for you. So simple things that I use are through the Google Suite. I use tasks, and you can create lists for each task. So I have some for my family, I have some for in the company, and then just set deadlines, and it all connects to your calendar. And the new thing with Google is I think it's called Genesis, their AI, or
Mm-hmm.
it's starting now. So like we're all type out an email, and then it knows my schedule, and it'll suggest times to the person in the email. So I think that's embracing AI. Don't be afraid of it, and it'll help with your time. I've actually created so a combination of using Google and their tools, and then ChatGPT and their tools. I've created my own models. So I took five years of my emails and uploaded it to a model to understand my tone of how I write emails. And then I'm setting up automation to where an email comes into me, and then automation will happen, and a response email will go into a draft, and then I can just go in and edit it. So email is the bane of my existence. Having being on all the boards, being a mom, and owning multiple companies, I think it's email has just been like this thing that I've wanted to solve, and I think working that out with automation. In addition, like other GPTs that you can create for your companies, right? So we have a brand tone one for global objects. So these are the ways that I want the company to be talked about on social media, or this or that. So we have that GPT that the team can access and use that to craft messaging, etc.
Awesome. So it sounds like you leverage tech a lot to kind of your advantage and just make your day to day easier.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was reading, actually I can show you. I so one of my New Year's resolutions was to read at least a book at least one book a month. So I've had this book, Zero to One by Peter Thiel. It's about startups, right? And so, in the book, I was highlighting a lot, right? And then I just started taking pictures. And I really wanted like a physical copy. I like having
Mm-hmm.
thumbing through it. But I just took pictures of the pages that I highlighted, uploaded them to ChatGPT. I said, hey, give me a summary of my notes. And boom, wang, bang, boom, here's all my notes. And then I can turn that into LinkedIn posts, etc. So I think um, work smarter, not harder. And I don't think there's many things that ChatGPT can do that people don't nearly understand yet. You can take a picture of your refrigerator, it'll see the food and it'll give you recipes. So, and that's not a joke. It actually will do that.
You learn something new every day. And I think that's a good New Year's resolution. I actually have Zero to One. It's the
Are you
one
doing?
at the
Oh,
very
yeah.
top. Yeah, yeah. So no, it's a good book. What do you and you mentioned it there is kind of you read it, you take notes, and you can kind of repurpose that content. What are other kind of advantages of maximizing your time, maximizing your efficiency when you're managing all of this stuff?
Gosh, if I had that answer, then I'd be very, very wealthy over. But I think in my world, it's scheduling with Google, having reminders like, my 10-minute reminder just went off for my
Mm,
next meeting. So I think having reminders, and then expectations with other people, right? Like if you're going to be late, let people know you're going to be late, and just, because in communication, expectations, and then just keep your day going, right? And have lists. I use tasks on Google. I have those lists, assign dates. So it's just when you're a busy entrepreneur, you just have to set yourself up for success, and the people around you, right? And your team.
hmm
So
Yeah, no, fantastic. And I think the two nuggets you just dropped there is a great way to build any business is good communication and setting realistic expectations.
yeah,
If you can nail those 2 points, then you've got a recipe for success.
exactly. And if you're not passionate about something, or if you're not like excited to get up and go do it that day, get out of it. Like you only get one life. Like I'm almost 40 years old and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I get to be 40, right? Like but I love what I do. Like I'm so excited to get up and go to work every day. And if you're going to spend time away from your family or time away from your children, hopefully it's something doing that you enjoy and love. So just remember, we only get one life. So
Mm-hmm. Massive. And it sounds like you shared you're excited to kind of get up to work every day. Looking forward as we begin wrapping up the podcast, what goals are on the horizon for Global Objects? What do you have in mind?
yeah, so we are looking forward to launching our platform. So check it out, coming soon, globalobjects.com. We're going to be launching what we call scapes, which are our virtual digital environments, as well as our objects. So again, I know we talked a lot about the mouse, but specific to our objects that you can use and license for your projects if you're a 3D artist or you're creating worlds for gaming or the like. And hiring more people, bringing more people on the team, traveling a bunch, and doing more projects for media and entertainment. So doing a lot of scanning for studios.
Awesome, awesome. And Jess, where can the audience find you on LinkedIn, on your website?
Yeah, I am totally a LinkedIn junkie. If I had to pick my favorite social media, there was TikTok, but I feel smarter when I like I'm on LinkedIn more. So LinkedIn, Jess Loren, Loren. You can find me on TikTok too, but that's more like silly stuff. So, and that's Miss what is it? Oh, It Factor Jess. So Oliver, I picked a name for my podcast, and now I have to like dedicate myself to get it started. So It Factor Jess will be my podcast. And that is also a goal for this year, is to get my podcast rolling. So
Perfect. I'll be sure to drop the links in the description and give you a shout out when the podcast goes live.
awesome. Thank you so much, Oliver.
Perfect. Thank you, Jess.